Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I know you've been waiting patiently, so I thought I would jump in. I hope you're all doing well. Happy Father's Day as well. Big up to all them fathers out there, mothers that are fathers, and hope you're all doing well. As you can see, flashy shirt on today. I know a lot of you will be here waiting for Connor, right? I know, I get that. Yeah, I get that. The big dog's in the building. He will be here. He's just finishing his tea, all right? So don't worry, he is going to be here. But rather than keep you waiting for that extra 10 minutes, I thought let's start. Let's have a chat and wait for Connor to arrive. I want to say big up to you all yesterday as well, just for getting us over 12k. Absolutely amazing. Someone says nice shirt. Yeah, listen, I've been church today. It's Father's Day. When you can't wear a flashy shirt, these bits here are supposed to be green. I think the green screen's doing a madness on them, but I hope you're doing well. Tashirna says DX is back together. I'll take Triple H. I'm definitely not Shawn Michaels. Well, they've both got long hair, haven't they? It's going to be great to get back with Connor. We speak. He's here now, look. Just as I was speaking, he can't hear me because he'll be putting his headphones in. So let's wait for him to put his headphones. Oh, he can hear me. He can hear me. There you go. They've just said DX is back together, mate. So I might just if I play the tune. If I play the tune, I'll get demonetized, won't I? So I'll best not. I'm trying to think what the actual. I'm trying to think what the actual chant is now. Are you ready? That's what he said. I think that's it goes. Are you ready? That's how he goes. His now device is not connected. I don't know what he's doing, but he's going to be here in a sec. Basically, I wanted to do this earlier just because I've seen a lot of transfer fees getting banded about for the likes of Raphinha and for Kalvin Phillips. And these figures are starting to stress me out a little bit because I'm like, I don't want Leeds United to be getting basically mugged off a little bit with some of the amounts that have been mentioned. So I wanted to do a video on it anyway. And then, as I say, Connor said he was free. So I said, right, let's chat about it. That's why I changed the time. So that's why I'm a little bit later. I've done a little bit of research as well. It's not like me, that, by the way. That's for the likes of for Connor and that to do the research. But I have done a little bit of research on this video. Not so I say research loosely. But we'll chat about it anyway. Let's get Connor in the house. Are you ready? Here he is. The big man is back. How you doing, brother? You okay?
All right, mate. Long time no see.
I know, it's great, isn't it? It's great to have you back, mate. It's great to have you back. Someone said it's a ALTV reboot, a DX.
We're back.
Yeah, yes, I love that. What do you reckon to the shirt, pal?
I like it. What, you've been on holiday, haven't you?
I have been on holiday. It was one of my holiday shirts, but it's Father's Day today, so I thought when you can't put on a flashy shirt, when can you, mate? You know,
is that the thing now? Is it flashy shirts when you're a dad?
I think so. Yeah, that and Crocs, mate. I don't know if you've had a chance to see, but I'm also rocking these bad boys at the minute.
Right. What's going on with you?
that and Crocs, mate. Don't worry, I won't be going to Ellen Road dressed in them. I think I'd get lynched.
I remember the long t-shirts and the scuffed up Vans. What's happened?
I know, yeah, exactly. I'm over the hill now, mate. I'm 35 soon, so wow, it's done. But how you doing, mate? All good?
Yeah, mate. I was just listening to you beforehand, and it's it's just nuts at the minute, isn't it? With regards to like Leeds and stuff and exactly what's going on. But in general, I'm all right, mate. Life's it's ticking on. It's ticking on. I mean, my holiday is it's in August, and I'm seeing people go away now, and I'm thinking I've still not de-stressed, mate. As you've probably seen, I've gone straight into the content. I've dived into the content. I've not had a break, and it's all consuming.
Yeah, it is, mate. It is. Leeds United is anyway, but then when you throw in content on top of that, it's next level, isn't it? But Connor, I know you have always wanted bodies in the door, etc. You must be pleased. No, but you must be pleased with business.
Bodies in the door. That's bodies on the floor, isn't it?
You must be
mate.
pleased.
Yeah, I am. I think it's a good start in it. I mean, what is it? 3 transfers in 3 weeks. You can't really be upset about that. I think the thing with me, Joe, is it's just pressing on that. I mean, you watch mine, I watch your videos and stuff, and we chat. And I think it's one of these things I keep going on my channel. It's just pressing on the action. Just because if my owner's telling me in the middle of last season where he expects us to finish next season if we stay up, that's my expectation now, mate. I'm not talking relegation settings anymore. I'm not even really looking at. I mean, my expectation, my bar is so high this summer with regards to signings coming in and stuff. I think we've still got a couple of big ones to come, to be honest. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it, mate. If we are to challenge, if we are to look at top 10 and top 10 consistently, for me, mate, I don't know about you, but I still think we need like 4 or 5 bodies, and I don't want the 3 bodies to come in because everyone's excited about it, everyone's giddy about it. I don't want those 3 bodies to just make Leeds fans think to themselves, oh, well, that's done now. That's okay. As long as we maybe keep hold of Kalvin and Raphinha, that'll be that. And I think we just need to raise that bar a little bit. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I was watching your video earlier, actually, and when you said about there being one big one, I started to get excited. I was like, what does he know? What does he know what's going to happen? But I hope you're right, yeah. I do hope you're right. And the great thing is, mate, they have done so much good work since the end of the season. Like you mentioned, them 3 signings in 3 weeks. It wasn't until I think the 17th of July last season until we got that first signing in. So the fact that we've got 3 in the door already a month ahead of time is amazing.
Joe, it seems like that all the time, though, doesn't it? Like it seemed like that ever since I've been a Leeds fan, mate. Even before Rads, it's always towards the back end of the window, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to be, getting ahead of the game, and I think the good thing is we've got pre-season in 4 weeks. Arguably, we could have another 2 in the door by then. And then you're looking at, Jesse actually able to get his methods across during pre-season. We know with Bielsa, it was all last minute kind of thing, even with him signing his deal, But we're here today just to talk about Raph and KP and some of the crazy fee that's been bandied about. And I seen on Twitter this morning some mad fees, and we'll touch on them a little bit later on. But I think the main point of this is all this good stuff the board have done up to this point could easily just fall on deaf ears if we then sell on Raph and Phillips for what seems to me really miserly fees at this moment in time, Connor.
Yeah, I don't know about you, mate, but do you think Fabrizio's got it wrong? Because he's tweeting out all the time and he's saying Raph 55 million euros, and I'm like that. I mean, that's 47 million quid, and I'm like that can't be right, because I'm listening to The Athletic. Obviously, you might speak to people, obviously a couple of people who I speak to as well, and that can't be right. That can't, for me, they're looking at 60 and 70. I think Phil's said that as well, hasn't he? If it's 60, 70, he must have got that wrong for Fabrizio. I don't know if he means 55 million quid, Joe, and maybe that's a little bit meager. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but Kalvin's the interesting one. I put something quite controversial out on Twitter, but Kalvin one's interesting, isn't it? Because I think there's a little bit more to it. But Raphinha, mate, I mean, it's 60, 70 million all day, isn't it?
Yeah, you would hope so. You would hope so, because you're right in saying that the 55 million euros that keeps getting mentioned by Fabrizio Romano, let's hope it is wrong, but even still 55 million I'm not happy with. But that 55 million does equate to 47,200,000, I think, to be precise about that, which is mad. And there's a number of things I want to put to you, Connor. I was going to ask obviously the people in the comments, but with you coming on, do you think, let's say for example, that 55 million euro tag's right? At that stage, is it worth just saying to him, right, you're not leaving, we'll just keep you for the next 2 seasons? If we're gonna, I guess just to run down your contract, basically, because he's more valuable to us as opposed to selling him for what seems like a miserly fee and say 47 million.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And then maybe even if we kept hold of him, I mean, a lot of people are saying if we kept hold of him and he has an unbelievable World Cup, which I think he will, mate. I don't know about you. You just know he's going to have a class World Cup, don't you? Then Deco might turn around in January and say, look, Barca have come in, this is the offer. It's a little bit more than what we offered beforehand. But Leeds, I think the worrying thing, Joe, is if we keep him, what's his temperament going to be? Is he going to think to himself, do you know what? I really needed that move. But on the contrary to that, he wants a World Cup place.
Yeah.
So if he wants a World Cup place, he has to be playing week in, week out, and he has to be playing well because there's so much competition in that Brazil side. But I get your point because, like, Leeds can't budge on this. He's the prized asset. He's the best player at the club. They can't be bullied. And we've said that from the start, haven't we? They can't be bullied into lowering and lowering because of Raphinha, because of Deco, who seems to be a real aggressor in this. I mean, he's come out and said Barca or nothing. I mean, I don't know if he's living in cloud cuckoo land there a little bit, because the interesting one's going to be Arsenal. They seem to be pressing it a little bit, don't they, at the minute? I don't see that. I don't really understand that. I think you've seen it on my channel this morning, mate. I've been speaking about if they lock him down to a 3-4 year contract, then Barca aren't going to be able to afford to pay him. And that's going to be a long contract for Raphinha. Is he going to be playing week in, week out with Saka in front of him? I don't know. Maybe on the left. Maybe they'll move Saka out to the left, but they haven't got Champions League football either. So there's a lot of moving parts, mate. But I get what you mean. I mean, if it is Barca or nothing, then surely he stays at Leeds. Surely.
Yeah. You would hope so. And I think I was going to touch on that point. You know, there's a lot of fans and there was a lot of comments on Twitter saying, well, he'd be unhappy. But I think the thing is with Raphinha is he would probably channel that into, you know, decent performances, as mad as that sounds, I think, anyway, personally. But not only that, the World Cup, the World Cup's a massive thing. So even if Kalvin and Raphinha were to stay and don't get their moods, which they seem to want at this moment in time, of course, I understand the Raphinha one 100%. And I get Kalvin as well. You know, don't get me wrong. But I think both would have to perform regardless of what happens due to that World Cup. There's a lot of people as well saying, let's say, for example, well, someone said to me, it is the correct price, but they think there'll be players coming our way too. Do you want a player plus cash deals? Because for me, mate, I don't want no Barcelona cast off. I just want the money so we can go and do what we want with it. What
about if City offered? And this won't happen, but what if City
Zinchenko?
If they offered, if they offered 30 million plus Zinchenko and McAtee, what would you do?
Yeah, no, of course. I'm talking Barca rejects.
And to be fair, there's no chance City would do it. They really rate McAtee. So I don't think that's. To be honest, mate, if we were going to get McAtee, it'd be a loan. So I just hope that they don't somehow.
Do you know with Zinchenko as well, bro? Like I see a lot of people saying Zinchenko plus cash. For me, yes, they only paid like 1.5 million for him. But for me, Zinchenko's a 30-40 million pound player. Connor, I don't know what you think, or am I massively over-egging him? I think he's unbelievable.
He's class, mate. He's so good, but he has said in his next move he doesn't want to be left back. So that's got to be like a stipulation in his deal. It's like, I want to play central attacking midfield, which is what Pep brought him in as, which we can, you know, relate to when it comes to Bielsa. You know, player's been versatile. He brought him in for 1 million as a cam, and he started playing him at left back. And like you say, he's probably worth 30-40 million now. But yeah, mate, he was ready to go to Wolves for 10 million, I think it was. Somehow, I don't know how they wrangled that price, but 10 million in January, and he didn't, decided against it. So I think he's going to take a big move. But yeah, I mean, back onto your question about Barca. I mean, I guess if it was Gavi, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? But I don't know. You know, when you're looking at their squad at the minute, there's a lot of aging players. You know, there's a lot of disruption, obviously. I can't profess to know everything about the Barcelona academy. So I don't know who there's been talk of Arta, hasn't there? But I don't think I'd look at any of their side at the minute, mate. I don't know about you, and this is crazy when, you know, we've been Leeds fans for so long. You look at Leeds side and Barca side. There might be a couple that people in the comments can let us know about, but when it comes to central midfielders who are realistic to be within an exchange deal, you just want the lump sum, mate. And I'll be honest with you, I'd want the lump sum for Kalvin as well, because I think an exchange deal, I don't know about you, but I think, and everyone in the comments, I think an exchange deal, it just massively limits you. It's like, you know, they'll reduce the price and they'll just be like, well, these are the players that, you know, we can get rid of at the minute and we'll throw them in. I've heard like chat of like Liam Delap as well, the centre forward, but he's barely played any Premier League minutes and that would reduce the fee by about 20 million. We just have to be careful, mate, because City and Liverpool are top negotiators. And I'm just a little bit worried that from some of the business that we've been outlaying, over the past couple of years. Dan James comes fourth highest ever exit transfer.
Mad, innit?
Yeah, just stuff like that, mate. I'm just a little bit worried that City could lowball us, but hopefully, I'm with you. I think an exchange deal, you don't want that.
Nah, definitely not. I'd take on the Kalvin City thing, if we got cash and then they said we'll also give you a Lavia or a McAtee on loan for 2 seasons. Do you know what I mean? But I don't want the transfer fee to come down from what's been touted with Kalvin. And what I did do, Connor, and we'll look at it a little bit later on. I had a look on the transfer marks over the last 3 seasons at players who are similar to Raph and also midfielders, just to see what the sort of average sort of fee for these players went. And as I'm doing it, I'm genuinely, and we'll touch on these players, I'm going, I think we're massively over-egging their price, you know. I'm looking at some of these players that have gone to football clubs and I'm like, yo, he's a baller, 20 million. Yo, he's a baller, 30 million. I'm like, oh,
Joe, Yves Bissouma, 25 million.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So do you think, in your opinion, 60 to 70 million, which is what's been touted out from The Athletic, is a fair price for Raphinha?
Yeah, yes, for Raphinha. Yeah, for me, mate. If they offered 60, I'd be a bit like, if they offered 65, I'd be like, perfect. You know, I'd be like, that is fine by me. 70, I'd be absolutely over the moon. I mean, if they're offering 55, but I mean, we're not there, are we, Joe? Like doing the negotiations, but you'd expect them to be some installments, like there is with every transfer business. I mean, I don't think we've started paying for Firpo and Dan James yet. So there's always installments and always like agreements in place. So, I mean, mate. What about you? Would that be all right for you? I mean, you've just been saying that 55 is a low baller. Would yours be sort of 70?
Yeah, it was 60 minimum. And it's like with Kalvin as well. I don't want anything less than 50. I think there's a lot of Leeds fans, and I've tried to say this on my videos, like people will go like, Grealish went for 100 million, so Phillips is 100. You know, Declan Rice is worth 150, so Phillips is 100. I don't agree with that. I do think...
Well, as well, Joe, it's like no one's going to pay 150 million for Declan Rice. It's like it's not going to happen. So it's just it's talk, innit? So I just saw Detail his comment when I mentioned Firpo, and James just said, "Do we have to start paying for him?"
It's a great show. It's a great show.
But yeah, go on, mate. What you saying?
Yeah. No, we'll definitely talk about that. I'm just thinking as well. Is obviously. The thing is with Raph, this is our biggest prize asset ever, you could argue. You know, Rio went to Man United back in 2002 for like 30 million, which was most expensive British footballer at the time, you know, world's most expensive defender. If you then consider when now, however many years since then, you know, 20 years since then, we have our biggest prize asset since then, and we're only going to be, you know, if the 55 million euros is believed to be true, an extra 17 million on top of that. That's the frustrating thing for me, is like, this is our prize asset, and I'm really, really worried that the club are going to get taken for a ride a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I think I don't know what you think. I don't know what everyone in the comments thinks, but I think it's very dependent on Raphinha, isn't it? Because if he's apparently the transfer request is rubbish, to be fair. But if he's going in there, and I love Raphinha, I think he's always given 110% for this shirt. I think people, when they've been criticising him, have been way too overly harsh. And I think that's because Leeds fans were trying to protect their ego. They knew that he was potentially going in the summer, so they'd lowball him quite a lot. I don't know if you felt that. He was like, oh, yeah, he was rubbish today. It's well, I mean, everybody, I mean, Jack Harrison was rubbish today, or whoever was rubbish today, but you won't call them out because they're not going. So, yeah, I think the thing is with him, mate, we're in a strong position, Joe. We're in a really, really strong position as a club. We've got 2 prized assets. Ideally, one of them stays. I think if 2 of them go, I mean, you could bring in 7 players, but I don't know about you, but with what's happened with the recruitment, with what's happened with investment, and it looks a little bit better this year, Joe. It does look a little bit better. I'll say that, 45 million so far. I'm happy with the signings, but, you know, I'm just a little bit worried that if both of them go, it's going to be replenishing that. Raphinha would be the big one because I think that output, mate, just him, getting space, him attracting men, around him, 2 or 3 players, taking players out of the game, is goals. Just his general involvement with every piece of attacking play Leeds have is just ridiculous. So I think that would be my big worry away from it. And, Joe, when we're talking about an attacking capacity, mate, is Bamford even going to be fit? Is he going to start the season? All these sorts of things. So there's loads of moving parts at the minute. So I think, yeah, mate, I think I am a little bit worried about the board just because of previous. And I can understand that definitely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And, there's a great point. I think it was Josh Hobbs made the point on Twitter. And I think Josh is brilliant at what he does. He always... puts forward some great opinions, and there's a case as well of Raphinha getting frustrated at Barcelona and them not coming up, because who can forget when he moved to Leeds United from Rennes for as little as 17 million? He said it smacked of disrespect, the fact that they let me go for such a low fee. So there has to come a time, surely, where Raphinha gets frustrated and says, I've got Chelsea, I've got Arsenal, I've got Spurs, I've got Man United, all these clubs want me. I'm sticking around because I want that dream move. I want to follow Ronaldinho, I want to follow Deco. I want to play for that club. But you aren't paying for me. You aren't willing to stump up the cash. Does they get a point where I think personally it's a good thing that for Leeds United that he could become pissed off, because ultimately, as soon as I seen PSG enter the race for Kalvin, I'm thinking, right, that's good. Because we don't just want one club because they can lowball us, like you've said. The thing is with Raphinha, yes, he's got loads of people after him. But as it stands, he only wants Barcelona. So ideally, let's hope they try, some underhand stuff that he goes, do you know what? Sack it. I'm going to go to Spurs and play Champions League football, play with Harry Kane under Conte, for example, Yeah,
definitely. No, that's a really good point. I think there's definitely an idea that he'll get frustrated with them. Like you said, he came for 17, 18 million, didn't he? And he was knacked off. He thought he was worth more than that. And he definitely was.
Yeah, it was,
But yeah, mate. I mean, I agree. I think he will be frustrated. I think Deco and Barca were clearly banking on us going down, which doesn't sit right with me at all.
No.
And clearly conversations were being done in the background, which is how football works. I understand that, but for them to be so unprepared, Joe, as a club, for them to be literally on the edge of signing him the next day, or having an agreement. Apparently, there's still a verbal agreement. Raph has apparently agreed behind the scenes and all this sort of stuff. So that was clearly a 25, million euro done deal, whatever. So that doesn't really sit right with me in a sense, but I understand why it happens. But and the fact that they've not got a contingency plan, mate, the fact that they've not even thought to themselves, well, Leeds could stay up. There is a potential that Leeds could stay up. What's that plan B? It just absolutely stinks of arrogance. And that's what you get with the top clubs, isn't it, mate? And the thing is, what they've got a problem with now is, you just mentioned a bidding war. If Tottenham and Arsenal, and there's still rumours on Liverpool as well, being highly interested in him. If they start a bidding war, they're going to blow Barca out the water, because the Premier League's the richest league in the world, and the economy that that is generated in this division. That's why it's huge when Leeds have stayed in the division. So you got Tottenham Hotspur, you got the Arsenals, who are in such a better financial position than Barcelona. So if they start bidding, if they start offering Leeds money, then Rafa's going to have to sit down and have a real conversation with himself, because there could be an actual scenario where Tottenham come to Leeds and offer us 58 million for Raphinha, and Leeds accept it, and Rafa then turns it down, and then it's I don't know, Joe. I don't know what you think. But then what is that? What sort of position is that for Leeds? Because are Barca ever going to offer that sort of money? They're probably not. So that's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a scenario.
Yeah, it is mad, isn't it? When you're thinking, like, the club are sat there, they've got 60 million, yet, Barca are saying, we'll give you X amount plus these add-ons that don't come close to that figure. And you're like, oh, we really want him to take Spurs, but
because then Joe, Leeds are in a tricky position, because it's like, if we're basing everything off a Leicester model, they sold Kante, Mahrez, Maguire. If Radrizzani said he wants us to base it on that model, he's our prized asset. And if the clubs are coming in and meeting that valuation, and we're just like, nah, but Rafa wants to go to Barcelona and they're only willing to pay up 35 million euros. Well, I'm sorry, Barca don't just get what they want. That is what it is, and that's where Raphinha's going to have to start really considering his options.
No, exactly. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I've stated since we were first muted, I think I think he still goes to Barcelona. I do think that deal will happen by hook or by crook. Barcelona will get that done. Where's your head at with Raphinha? Are you the same, or I know you were saying before maybe watch out for Madrid on one of the videos. Do you think it's Barcelona or done as we're being told, or how do you see it, bro?
I think he'll stay.
Yeah,
I think he'll stay. I think just my head. I might have this completely wrong, mate, but my head is. He clearly wants the Barca move. Apparently, he grew up a Madrid fan as well. So I don't know whether or not they'll come in with the big bucks later on down the line. He's got a World Cup to impress. He's only going to run down his contract. He's only got 2 years left, so the valuation might decrease for the Barca club. Real Madrid, the valuation is going to go down next season. In my opinion, even if he has a good World Cup, obviously they reckon that's the big thing with the Yves Bissouma deal as well. I think he only had like a year left on his contract. So that's why they were able to get him so cheap. But I think, as I've said before, if he goes to Spurs, you've then got Daniel Levy to deal with, who's going to tie him down to a 4-year deal. If he goes to Arsenal, he's going to be tied down to a minimum 3-year deal. And then that is going to absolutely drive up the price for an Arsenal, for a Barcelona or a Real Madrid to be able to go in there and get him. So he's going to narrow his options. He clearly wants to go to Spain. He's going to completely narrow his options by going to an Arsenal or a Spurs. Let's be right as well. According to so many credible sources, Deco turned around to Liverpool and went, nah, doesn't want to come to you. So I think he's just going to wait it out at Leeds, and then he's going to get a move either in January or the summer to one of the big Spanish clubs. That's what I think. Hope I'm right, to be honest, in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he did stay with us and we got into the World Cup and he had a barnstorm, it's probably going to be great for Leeds United in terms of, and even if he stays till his contract's gone, someone said before, like it's like, paying 70 million for getting a Brazilian international for 4 years and giving what he's given to us, and he's not on that big of a wage really on what he will go on to be on. Like, it's actually, even if he does go for now, then, it's probably still good business for the football club.
But then, Joe, is his stock at his highest right now, and you've got 3 clubs in for him? Is this the biggest valuation Leeds are going to get for him? Are we going to get this? Obviously, his contract's going to go down. I know it might have a decent World Cup, but is this the most we're going to get for him? So then it becomes a real difficult conversation within the boardroom, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's what I'm saying. And I think as fans, some find it hard to come to that. And we'll move on and talk about Kalvin, bro, because that's a perfect sort of segue, really, in that I know you've said it before, and I think a lot of others have said it, that Kalvin's arguably easier to replace. And there comes sort of a peak time for when you can move these players on. And I would argue that Kalvin is at that peak time. If Leeds United do want to move him on, Fernandinho's gone. They see him as the ideal replacement, top of the pops. He's the one they want. Apparently, direct play, talks will take place soon. I know that fella Rincon mentioned something on Twitter earlier. He went on to delete his tweet. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah, I went to try and find it, bro, and I was like, "Yo, he's deleted it."
I might need to get rid of that off the One Leeds Twitter account.
But no, I seen it as well, and he said that 100% confirmed that the bid had gone in. I think he was probably just hounded by Leeds fans, and he thought, I'm not about this.
What's that like, Joe? What's that like? We've never had that before.
Exactly, bro. Yeah, exactly. Them quote tweets. Oh my God, I've only just gone back after a couple of months. I'm like, one quote tweet comes in and I'm off again.
The quote tweets get you, don't they?
Yeah, they do, man. They do. But and this is another thing to consider, because if you think that Fabrizio Romano, let's say, for example, Fabrizio Romano's got it bang on the money and Leeds are willing to sell for 55 million euros.
Which he normally gets it on the money, doesn't he?
100%. Yeah, 100%. You're looking at a situation where Kalvin would go for more than Raphinha, and that don't sit right for me either. I was like, wow, so Kalvin could go for 50 million, let's say, to City, and Raphinha 47, and I just thought that's a bit of a mad one as well,
I mean, that is ridiculous. I mean, you've got 2 players, our prized assets, then going both for under 100 million. I mean, I mean, when people are talking about, there's some people saying Raphinha 100 million, some people saying Kalvin 100 million, which I think is ridiculous. But there are people quoting like those two individually being worth that sort of money. Mate, if we get anything less, if we get 100 million, even for those two combined, it's not too unrealistic. Because if you think about it, 50 and 50, it's not unrealistic. But I think that's a joke, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's mad. What did you make to the PSG stuff? I think it's Radrazani saying to his mate, "Listen, put that out there."
Bit of agent, bit of agent. Yeah, so it's clever, isn't it? It's clever.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, they reckon as well when West Ham, when West Ham came in for Kalvin and Raphinha in January, they reckon that was just them, agents putting the feelers out there, basically. So
really?
Yeah, I mean, it's all to drive up the valuation, isn't it, mate? But it helps us. It helps us massively because any sort of PR is good PR. So yeah, man. I think the PSG one's interesting. What was it, 200 grand a week? But they're big boys. If they're big boys and already, let's say if that's true, mate, and they're meeting what was it? Did they offer? Was it 55 million?
55 million apparently, yeah, and 200 grand a week.
I mean, that's that. I mean, I'll be honest, mate. I'd drive in there for that. So yeah, I mean that's great for us, and clearly Pep sees him as he is City's number one target. So if they're going 55 million, then it'd be interesting to see what City did. But did you see earlier on as well? Apparently Brighton have set a valuation of, I think it's something like 40 or 45 for Marc Cucurella, the left back. And apparently City have just turned around and gone, right, we're done, then we're out. And they're looking at a German left back from Hoffenheim, really? I think he's called like Raum or Baum. I don't know what his name is. I've not heard of him before, but yeah. So apparently, according to a fair few sources, City are ready to walk away. So that'd be interesting because if PSG went in and said 55 million for Kalvin, I don't know about you, but he seems like a little bit of a home bird, Kalvin. So I think he would. Yeah, I think there's absolutely no chance. I think with Kalvin, he'd go to Manchester and get a nosebleed. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I don't think he'd go to PSG. So that would be a little bit of an issue for us because if PSG hit the 55 million and then Leeds say, look, we want higher than 55 million and then City are out, that's a bit of a problem. But then I guess we keep hold of him. But then his valuation once again, Joe, is going to be lower next year. So.
Yeah. It's mad that you mentioned that about Kalvin because I was going to say that as well. There's not a cat in hell's chance Kalvin moves to Paris. I just don't see it. I just do not see him and his missus jetting off to Paris. I mean, he probably would get away with them shoes that he chose to wear that day in Paris. But do you know what I mean? Like
those croissants on his feet.
There got to be some mad Balenciaga switch up. I don't know. I can't really say what's sat in this shirt. And someone said I've gone all goth on them. This isn't nail varnish. This is
Joe, man, what's going on?
I trapped my nail in the door, man. I trapped my nail in the door.
Yeah. I remember that when I painted mine last.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. But what I did, mate, I had a look at some players, that play in similar sort of positions. So we're both saying, right, like 70 million for us, I think would be like top whack for Raphinha. Yeah. I've gone back over the last 3 seasons. Last season before, maybe. Last 3 seasons I did do. There's only 2 players that have hit 70 million or above, and that was Nicola Pepe and Jadon Sancho. Now, Sancho's 21, Pepe 24 at the time. They're the only 2 that have got close. Mm-hmm. Luis Diaz, 42 million. Look how good he is. You know what I mean? You've got Sané went for 54 million. Mm-hmm. Ferran Torres was bought initially into City for 30 million. Diego Jota, 40 million. Leon Bailey, 28. Buendia, 34. So I look at all these players. Alan St-Maximin, 16 million. Mm-hmm. Neto, 16 million. And I'm looking at all these fees and I'm thinking, I mean, there's only 2 in the last couple of seasons that have even got close to what we want to Raphinha. So is there a case that we're looking at it going, I think we're asking a little bit too much?
Yeah. Yeah, there is. There's 100% that, and that's what City will be saying to Leeds. You know, they'll be saying to Leeds with Kalvin. I mean, you know, obviously Leeds fans are saying, you know, 70, 80 million. There's no way. I mean, in my opinion, he's not worth that. But there's no way they're going to give that sort of valuation. Hence why they've sort of lowballed and said 45 to 50 million. Because, like you say, whether you like it or not, fans will say England Player of the Year, but it doesn't matter. When do you ever get? And we're just talking about Kalvin here, but when do you ever get a defensive midfielder going for that sort of money? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
No.
And I think, I don't know about you, but with Raphinha and with Kalvin Phillips, I think there's a higher valuation for Raphinha simply because he's world class. And I think you either invest into youth, like you know they did with Nicola Pepe, and like you know clubs have done with other players. It's either youth and the potential, they've got a high ceiling, or it's a world class player. So it's those sort of brackets. And like Steve Brown says, I mean, Mane's going to buy him for 35 million.
Yeah.
So
this is the thing. I had a look at not similar profiles to Kalvin as well, but looked at centre midfielders, and you know Thomas Partey was 45 million, Bruno Guimaraes 38 million, Højbjerg 15 million, Rodri 56, and he's out of this world. Do you know what I mean? And people are saying they want upwards of 60 million for Kalvin. Kovacic 40 million. Bruno Fernandes 56, Tielemans 40, Eriksen 24 million when he was sold to Inter. So I think even me, as I was looking at it, was thinking, oh wow, I need to get a little bit of perspective here, a little bit of realism, because there's all these top players that have absolutely smashed it, and they're not getting anywhere close to what some of us think, you know, players are worth. I mean, Kev there, Liverpool fan, always watches. Fabinho was 42 million.
Yeah, and I mean, Fabinho's one of the best DMs I've ever seen. Rodri's next level. I mean, this is the thing as well. Like, Kalvin's going, let's be honest, Kalvin's off to sit on the bench as well if he goes, because he ain't getting ahead of Rodri. No chance in hell. So, yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think the valuation, it's because we see him week in, week out. You know, I do think the world class term is bandied around a little bit too much for players who aren't world class. I do think Raphinha is near to that bracket, to be quite honest with you. And I think he's proven it for Brazil. He's going to prove it for Brazil again. He's going to do it for a top club as well. So that's when people will be like, yeah, he is world class. But I think, 100%. I mean, Yves Bissouma's the big one. Bissouma is class. He's so good. And he's going for what, as you've said, I think it's like sort of 25, 30 with installments, bring it to 35. But that's it, mate. So maybe we are actually looking at a scenario where it is 45 for Kalvin and 47 for Raphinha. That's
what I mean. As I'm doing it, bro, that's what I'm coming to terms. I guess I'm sort of getting myself ready just in case these figures are right, because you know, even like Leroy Sané going from City to buying 54 million, you know, Alan St. Maximan 16, Jota 40. Can we really be saying, like, I know as Leeds fans we're going to say but it's like, especially in that midfield. I mean, Arsenal picked up Odegaard for 31. Do you know what I mean? And he's 22, bro, when he was picked up. And we're saying for a 26, 27-year-old, we want 50 million. I think we do maybe have to look at it and say, actually, I mean, Tielemans 40 million. I don't know what he'll go to Arsenal for, but we do definitely need to maybe... You know, I guess I'm sort of preparing myself for that time when, you know, Raph goes for less than 50 and Kalvin closer to 40. And I'm like, God.
Do you think they'll both go?
I do, mate. Yeah, I do. And I think I think the club are preparing for that as well. I think I'd argue the club are sort of happy about it. The powers that be. I know people might disagree, but I think the club will be looking at it and saying, right, we can flesh out this squad now and then still have some cash left, I think.
It'll still cripple me, though, when we've fleshed out Kalvin and we've still got Tyler Roberts on the books. You know what I mean?
Here's one for you, though. I think... I got hammered for this, though, as well.
You're going to tell me he's going to come good, aren't you?
No, but I think he deserves a shot on the marsh because I think he might work in that system a little bit better.
I agree. I think technically, I think he might fit this system a little bit better. You know, you've got in the attacking midfield role, it's picking up those second balls. It's been in and around the striker. It's been that little bit of a shadow striker. I think he could be decent. He's not a bad player at all. No, I just think, mate, he's so cold all the time, and we have rare hot moments that it's like, how long is he just a project for the next like 5 years? We're just going to keep like, you know, if we do like, you know, another manager comes in potentially in the next 2 years, are we going to say, Roberts is going to come good again? He does deserve a chance, definitely. But I mean, that's the thing though, isn't it, Joe? It's like, what are we looking at? Are we looking at top 8? Are we looking at top 10? Or are we looking at battling relegation again in terms of personnel? I don't know.
Yeah. Where do you think we'll be? Let's say, for example, if we do lose Kalvin.
Dear. We're going this route already.
No, but if we do lose Kalvin or Kalvin and Raphinha, do you, because for me, I think we're sitting comfortably mid-table minus them anyway. Am I? You know what I'm like. You know
Surprised you to be challenging for the league.
Yeah, mate. If we get 6 points against Wolves and Southampton, I will be, man.
That's Brownie's trick as well. Anytime it's like he'll just go. We'll be sat in 16th and we'll be struggling. They'll just be like, oh well, we're only 8 points off 8th. It's like, yeah, we are, Brownie. You're right. We're 8 points off.
True, man.
But yeah. We lose those two, mate. Obviously, it's who we bring in because we need. I hate the term, but it's a star boy, isn't it? We need an X factor. Yeah. I was saying the other day on mine. I was saying, even Burnley, because you got to look at the lower teams that were in the division last year.
Charlie Taylor, I was screaming at you when I was listening to you go. I still don't get that either, bro. Like for
Taylor,
get him in. No,
right. I thought you were gonna bin him
on. No, get him in, man. I don't understand it either. Someone put a comment. Let's talk about the left back now. Like
hashtag let's talk Taylor.
Yeah. Well, David Lofthouse says, can't fans understand no left back? No, we can understand. It's the board that doesn't understand that, or is David saying we have got left back options? I don't quite know. But what you're looking at there is Davis isn't going to be here. Davis is being touted out left, right, and centre, which I know for a fact. Firpo, and let's be honest, Hjelde and Strike are not left backs, David. So we have one there that you've mentioned. For me, I agreed everything what you said, Connor, about going to get Charlie, bring him in. He would probably usurp Firpo after a couple of games. I think it makes sense because he's always been one of the standout performers for Burnley when he's played. I think his delivery is exceptional as well.
Yeah, he never loses the ball, mate. I mean, I'm a little bit biased, obviously. You know that I've told you a million times before that he was in my year at school, and Charlie's a top operator. He really is, and I think he could have played higher. He didn't stand out. He's not got like the vivacious personality. He's not sort of a flashy player or anything like that. He's not got an exotic name, but he bombs up and down the touchline. His consistency is extremely good for Burnley. It's Nick Pope and Charlie Taylor. Every single season, who are the standouts. And Leeds fans are a bit weird when it comes to Taylor. I don't understand what it is. It seems to be they've got this, everyone was calling Gary Monk a snake when he left Leeds United, but everyone seems to, go on the coattails of Charlie Taylor from what Gary Monk made a picture of him as, which I find absolutely bizarre. But it is what it is. When you're looking at Charlie Taylor on the pitch, he's a massive Leeds fan, literally lives 10 minutes away from me. So he's goes in the changing room, looks at the Leeds results at half time. So he would 100% welcome that back. And like I said to you, mate, like I've said on my video as well, Junior Firpo and Charlie Taylor in the same team. Junior Firpo would start the season. I thoroughly believe that. Within 2 games, he'd be out, and Charlie Taylor will play the remainder 36 games of the season. And people don't like to hear it. As I say, he's not an exotic name. He's not a Hollywood Victor Orta signing, but he's a signing that would work in the Premier League, and he's proven it for 8 years. Yeah.
And how much do you think he costs? Like someone asked, there it is, Pedrinho said, what price tag do you think Taylor? Championship, 15? Do you reckon?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, same age as me, so he's 29. He's going on 29. Okay. Yeah. All right, careful, Joe. So he's 29, and I've just gone on Transfer Market there, mate, and it says 3 million. I think that's a bit ridiculous, but I honestly think, mate, I think for Taylor, if you went with 8 to 10 million, then you've literally got a left back who sorts you.
Burnley is skint as well, bro.
Burnley is skint. Yeah. The old loans back. He's 10 million. I think gets him, and I think that sorts out Leeds' left back position for the next 3 to 4 years, because I think he could play in a top 10, top 12 side pretty consistently. And this is it, Joe. This is what frustrates the life out of me. It's there. It is there. That he is literally there. No, but there's no noise around him. It is the perfect sign, and it just frustrates the life out of me. That, I mean, allegedly we're not even looking at a left back. So what are we doing then? Is it Yelder and Strap? Yeah. So you're bringing our best centre back to left back again, and then you're relying on a kid to maybe come in and play left back because he played all right against West Ham. It's just, once again, this is the problem. This is what I worry about with recruitment. It's just. It's a little bit lackluster, and I don't know about you, but there's always that one thing with Leeds. Like, it's like last season, it was like they had to get a centre midfielder. They didn't. This season, they obviously have to get a centre midfielder, but there's an argument out there. I've said this on my videos, that a left back is much more crucial at the minute because Junior Firpo, listen, he might develop, but
no, I'm with you. I hear you.
There's no chance. There's no chance this guy's going to be a success, and people can clip it up. But there's no chance, in my opinion, unless we change system. But I don't think we will. There's no chance he's going to be a successful. I just see it going the same way. I really do.
No, I hear. It's funny you say that, because while you were chatting, I thought I'll have a look, see who's been linked to Charlie Taylor. And genuinely, the first news story comes up is about Charlie Taylor from the NCAA Championship in America. Like, I don't even know what that is, but what is the NCAA? But over in Tennessee. But that shows you,
wrestling.
right?
I think it's wrestling. I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Go. Brock Lesnar vibes. There you go. I don't know. The winner of the Knoxville Regional is Charlie Taylor. But that shows you, though, right? There's a player there who, for me, whenever we've played against him, he's been stand out. Whether or not that's because he raised his game, but whenever I've seen Charlie play, he's just dependable. And if we're being honest,
never injured.
Exactly. And if we're being honest, Firpo is not dependable. Firpo is guaranteed a yellow card within the first half without fail.
Injuries as well. He picks up injuries as well.
And let's think of a situation, right? We're in the first runs of the season. He gets suspended or he gets injured. Then what? Do you know what I mean?
Risk again, isn't it? It's a risk again.
It's mad. It's mad. Liam Moore with the super chat says, "Love the shirt, Joe. Very GTA Vice City. Your name is now Joe Exotic." I love that. I might start making it a thing. You should see I've got some crazy shirts. Jason said as well, "I love this. Saw my two favorite content providers on at the same time. Must admit, I had a bit of a sex week. We want more." I want to speak about this guy as well. Mickey D says, "Whose stupid idea is it for bringing in Donkey Jones?" I believe he is referring to Philip Jones. I keep seeing this link. I keep seeing us linked to centre-backs. I have seen us linked to Collins at Burnley, Phil Jones. Connor, for me, I don't know if you agree. I'd say, you might disagree on this bit, but I'd say we don't need a centre-back. And I'd say the club definitely are on that as well. Like, for me, I think at centre-back, we're stacked for a good few years. We've got Llorente, we've got Koch, we've got Cooper, we've got Strauch, we've got Hjelde, and we've got Creswell. Like, there's not a cat and hell's chance that these links to centre-backs are true. I don't think. What are your thoughts on it, mate?
No, I just don't see the point. But we've done it before, Joe, haven't we? Where we don't need a certain position. And we've gone out and done it anyway. But I think that was very much a Bielsa thing when he was a bit obsessive with, i.e. Dan James. We didn't need another winger, did we? And he went out and bought Dan James. The central midfielder was the priority. But yeah, centre-back. I mean, I like the Nathan Collins one. I do like the Nathan Collins one. I like him. I think he's got a lot of potential. But then as well, you look at Nathan Collins and he's the exact same profile as Charlie Cresswell. And Charlie Cresswell is, Liverpool and Man United are still sniffing around him. So I don't really understand why we do someone like Nathan Collins. So, I mean, as I say, just stop his progression, Charlie. So, yeah, mate. I mean, we're well stacked. I think the worry for me, Joe, is if we just start spreading people like Pascal Strauch to left back, and if maybe, Christensen isn't playing for a game, we don't play Cody Drame, and instead we play Robin Koch at right back. Like, we just need a consistent partnership of, in my opinion, Strauch and Koch, or Strauch and Cresswell. And I'd just love to see that for a season, mate. I'd love to see that consistently. Barely any injuries. How nice would that be, Joe, to just have a consistent back line? It'd be amazing. I think, mate, honestly, this is what I'm saying. There's no chance I'm saying, oh, Leeds are going down. We're going to be fighting, we're going to be fighting relegation. But we do need a little bit of luck as well. And if we were able to get that consistency, I think we could have the makings of a really good back four minus Firpo.
Minus Firpo. I was going to ask you your preferred partnership was. It's not his time to go yet. I'm sorry to say, mate. You know he's still going to be there for one more season. He's all captain.
Oh, Coops. I'm not. I mean, I'm not a.
Do you think though, Stroud didn't have a great season for me, Connor?
Yeah,
I think he really needed to come out in the end.
Yeah, I do think he had a bit of a patch. I do. I thought he started okay, but I think he had a bit of a patch out. But to be honest, Joe, I think it's just his ceiling. And I think there were so many moving parts last season. Listen, you can have that. You can have that excuse for any defender, can't you? Because I go pretty hard in on Llorente. But with Strauch, I think when he's had a little bit of consistency, so aside from the back end run of this season, I think he's been really, really good. And I think he is our best centre back. I really do. I think, when he's slotted in anywhere, he's been pretty brilliant, to be honest. And I just think that's what I mean. I think you're going to see the best out of these Leeds players when we get an element of consistency. Look, when we had an element of consistency with centre backs towards the back end of last season, when we won 7 out of 10 games and you had Cooper and Llorente, they were the consistent back line and we were excellent, draws against Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool. So I think you get that remit of consistency with 2 better centre backs than those 2. I think that'd be really beneficial for Leeds. But yeah, mate, for me, if are you more Llorente? But for me, it's Strauch all day. I think Llorente is just a clip merchant. You know what I mean? He's a YouTube clip merchant. But that's my opinion.
On the Llorente, I got really frustrated towards the back end of the season, and I'm seeing more of shades, and people are disagreeing why I'm making this sort of analogy, but I'm seeing more shades of Pontus. And what I mean by that is, when the going gets tough for Llorente, I seen towards the back end of the season.
I'm listening,
he's
mate,
back.
By the way.
He's back, kept going. Like I'm done. I've got Spain duty at the weekend or whatever. I'm done. I want to get substituted. And I felt a little bit like Llorente, you're not really full of fight. That's what it felt like to me watching him. And I mentioned it on a couple of the watch-alongs that I did, is that, it's frustrating. I'd like to see Robin Koch get his run at right centre-back. I think, for me, we'll still play Cooper, and I'm okay with that. And I think he'll play this will be his last season, though, for me. Liam Cooper, for sure. Whether or not he'll still be in and around the squad next season, maybe. The voice in the dressing room.
Yeah, definitely.
But he won't be starting, and I think Strauch's time will come. It's interesting you mentioned Creswell. Like, what do we do with him, mate? Because I spoke about this. Is like, my worry is he goes out on loan and absolutely smashes it like Ben White does, and then we get an amount that the club won't turn down. Because, like you mentioned, Creswell's ceiling is up here. Yeah, I remember when we went to LS11 Live about three years ago, if not longer, and Andy Hughes at that time was telling us about Creswell and told us that City, that all these clubs had already tried to get him at that young age, and he'd said no. Because he's diehard Leeds. He is diehard Leeds, Charlie. But my worry is, like, we need... I read an article by Phil where he says he is going to be used a lot more, but who for? Like, it's going to be so hard to manage, Charlie, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think... it's that bedding in season. It's such an important season for him, isn't it? But I don't know about you, but I'd rather him be on loan at a championship club than getting 400 minutes during the entire season at Leeds and just been on the bench. I just don't see the point. You look at Cody Drame, he went out, got some minutes. I thought that was the right thing to do. Went out, got some minutes, and now his profile's really high. I mean, there's no chance Leeds fans that have been saying if he'd have stayed at Leeds towards the back end of last season, we'll consider him for right back. But then he had a really good season at Cardiff, got player of the year, and then Leeds fans were like, oh, well, let's start him at right back. Your profile goes up. So I think for Cresswell, mate, I think he goes out on loan, he'll smash the championship. He's physically ready for it. I think if he does that, I think he'll come back an even better player. And then what will he be? Sort of 23? And then 23, looking at him starting hopefully week in, week out.
Him and Strauch, mate. That's sick, in it for the future, isn't it? That is an amazing centre-back partnership for the future. That's what I'm saying. People give out a stick and like to... He has got a lot wrong, don't get me wrong. And I do still love Orta because he's a passion merchant, and I'm about that, man. When I see him hugging them players and that, I'm like, so I do get carried away in that respect. So he does, but yeah, what a centre-back partnership.
Not a passion merchant in person, not at all.
Who, Victor?
Yeah, I told you I met him in York, and Jesus, I mean, it was when Everton beat Chelsea 1-0, and I went, "Hey, Victor, can I have a picture?" And was just like, what do you think for the rest of the season? Then he was like, and then just, then just smiled for the picture. I was like, have a good day, mate. He was like, I was like, oh, well, maybe you've seen the channel.
You never know, bro. You never know. What about when you seen Clicky? Did he have any? Did he? He was
really good. You know, he was very. This is in Harrogate, by the way. Where I tell you what, Joe. You know, I saw yesterday as well. Screamed out the window. No word of a lie. Jesse lives in Harrogate, as does Melier, as does Click. They all live in these posh parts around the back.
Next door, Connor.
I don't live in the posh part at all. But I was, yeah, mate. He was walking up near Sainsbury's, and I swear to God, because I had the windows open. And if anyone knows Colbath Road, it's like one of the main roads in Harrogate, and I live on that one. And he was walking upwards, and I heard, I kid you not, I heard this American voice. And I was on the phone with my mate at the time, and I went, "That's Jesse Marsh." And he went, "You are what? The Leeds manager?" Because he's a Liverpool fan. I went, "Yeah, he's outside the window now. I'm just going to put you on hold." And I was like, "I don't know what I'm going to say," but I could see him walking up, and his kids were following him, and all this sorts of thing. He was having a go at his kids, so it was a bit awkward. I just went, "Jesse," and he looked back, and I went, "Marching on together," and he went. Just waved at me, and I was like, "Oh no!" I just didn't know what to say. I went, "Jesse," looked back, and I went, "Marching on together."
That's just brilliant.
Just literally waved at me and walked off. I was like, "Oh, that's awful." But Click was actually, he was really like, he wanted to chat. He was really, really open, and he just seemed like he wanted to stay with Leeds throughout. He was like, you know, whatever happens. I like playing in the Premier League. I like playing in the Championship. And when he said that, I was like, oh God. But I thought to myself, you know, at least he's sort of diehard Leeds. You know what I mean? You can tell that with his social profile. But yeah, the Jesse one was an embarrassment. I don't know what I was doing. But yeah, that was last night. I've not even told my dad about that. But yeah,
brilliant. What do you think the future is for Click?
Oh dear.
Bit part, or does he move on?
I think his stock's decent now. I'd sell him. I'd sell him to I reckon you get a decent price for him. He's still amongst the Polish setup, which I don't think he's going to be for much longer. Played some minutes last season for Leeds. I think he'll play a lot of reduced minutes next season. So obviously his stock won't be high. He's only getting older, obviously. So I reckon you could still get a decent price for him from a German side, from a Dutch side, even a Belgian side. I think we could get a decent price. But he's a big character, isn't he, in the changing rooms? But I just think, Joe, like, when are we moving on, mate? When are we moving on for the promotion boys? Are we just going to let this guy, you know, run down his contract, and then once again we don't see any value back for him? We bought Clicky in for 1.5 million. Listen, if you sell him for 5 million, you've made a profit on him. Next season we might only be able to sell him for $1 million, and then you've made no profit on him.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Do you think we need to be in the business of selling them this summer, though? Just because of the squad. Just because. Yeah. No, you're right.
There's no way we should be selling a lot. Do you know what, Joe? It depends on what if they're thinking 2 more central midfielders or whatever. If they're thinking that, if they go out and splash out some money on a top sort of number 8 again, then I get. And then they bring in another sort of central midfielder who can transition into an attacking midfielder. Then I'm just thinking to myself, where's Click's place? But like you said, 5 subs. When he's come on, he's been decent. I just wonder what they're going to do with the squad, because if they do bring in another 4 or 5 signings, where are those 4 or 5 signings going to go? What's the caliber going to be? But yeah, listen, I can give or take with that. I've said on a keep or sell video that I get rid of Click just from a business perspective.
Yeah.
But I can also really understand why they keep hold of him. But I guess they'd lose money on him again, wouldn't they, mate? So they've got to start getting some money back for some players at some point.
Yeah, because there's a lot we won't get money back for, the likes of Dan James, Rodrigo, etc. Absolute, showers.
Rodrigo, you're not having him for 45 million. Selling him.
We should have sold him to Barcelona that summer. They wanted him. We should have sold him.
Yeah.
Should have sold him, because he's
another one anywhere. It's like give him another go, and when he has a little bit of a run next season, everyone will be like, oh, he's back on pomp, he's unbelievable. And then the season afterwards, people will be like, give him another go. And it's like, when are you cutting your losses with some of these players? You know what I mean? And we've got to be ruthless, haven't we, Joe?
Yeah, no, we have. And just to round off, because I'm conscious you'll be working in that tomorrow, and you'll have stuff to do this evening. But between now and the end of the window, because I know you're a hard man to please, you're a hard taskmaster. No, you are though. Like, you know, I'm a little bit more forgiving towards like the board and whatnot, and you're very much, no, we need this.
Yeah.
What do we need between now and the end of the window? Like, you're in charge, you're all, what do you get?
Experienced goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do 100%.
Left back, definitely. Defensive midfielder, because I think Kalvin's going to go. So you bring in a DM. So that's what, 3. Then you've got another central midfielder. So then
would you be happy with, say, like a loan for a McAtee or a Lavia for that extra spot, or do you want another player?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question, because with McAtee, he's barely played any first team minutes. He's been unbelievable at the 23s, mate. You should see his numbers in the 23s. That it's incredible. So I don't think they want to get rid of him. But no, I'd want a signing. I'd want a signing. I would want a signing, and then a striker. And that's, for me, mate, that's the bare minimum. So you're looking at 5 there, I think. What about you?
No, we do need it. I don't think they will, but
oh no, they won't do 5. No chance.
We need a left back and a a left back and a goalkeeper, and I don't think they'll do either. I genuinely don't think. I think the only way they'll get a keeper is if a perfect storm happens, the perfect scenario presents itself. I don't think they're actively looking for one. It's just one. If one comes available, they'll do it. The left back, they're not looking for, what's led to believe, you know, what we're hearing, which I think is insane to think that we only had one on the books, and we only had one really last season. We loaned Davis out. So
those two are insane, mate. If we don't get an experienced keeper again.
Can you imagine Firpo and Meslier out? We're screwed, man. Forget losing Kalvin and Raph. You have Klassen as your starting goalkeeper, and Hjelde or Strauch, and I'm not ripping them here, but they're not left backs. They're not left backs. This is what frustrates me when I see us linked to right backs and people go in my comments, yeah, but he can play left back. Forget that. Buy a left back. Like, they're not like endangered. Do you know what I mean? You can buy left backs. So I don't understand it. But I think the club will get a replacement for Kalvin, then an additional, like on loan potentially, and then a striker.
Really? So you think we'll get? I think, you know what I think is going to happen. I think we're 100% going to get this Tyler Adams. I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get that Tyler Adams. He'll be a lined up, ready replacement for Kalvin, in my opinion. And then, yeah, you could be right, mate. Bringing in sort of a James McAtee, and then maybe, yeah, and then maybe a. I mean, they've said he's down.
What do you reckon to Cali Mawendo?
They're
not buying it.
Agent chat, mate. Agent chat. So I reckon I don't understand the Castellanos thing. I don't understand it. He's perfect. He's absolutely perfect for what we need. Apparently, they don't want him. You could just see it, couldn't you, Joe? Where, you know, that Junior Adamu, I believe is he Leipzig or Salzburg? I can't remember, but he's one of the Red Bull centre forwards. He's scored like 6 or 7 goals this season. He's not been prolific, but I could see us doing that again because it's an easy Red Bull signing. McAtee on loan. And then, like you said, maybe a Tyler Adams. And for me, that is, and let's say on top of that, you're selling Kalvin Phillips. That'd be very, very underwhelming. So this is it, Joe. When you said to me earlier on, you know, if we sold Kalvin, if we sold Raphinha, it's all about then what they do. Because if that's the scenario, Leeds are in big trouble, in my opinion. And that's where I'd start to really, really worry, because that's just, I mean, you know, people get really excited with the social media videos, and people will be like, oh, look at this, another media video, look at his YouTube clips and all this sort of stuff. But we had that with Firpo, we had that with Rodrigo, you know, we've had that with Dan James, and I think they've got to get this right. This is the biggest summer, in my opinion, in my lifetime, the biggest summer in my lifetime that Leeds have had. And it's a good start, but I'm not getting too giddy yet.
Yeah, I'm already full giddy, bro.
Yeah.
No, I did watch that Mark Rocker video, and he started talking about the opening game against Wolves, and I was like, whoa.
It's a big one for Jesse as well, mate, because this is going to be the first season where we're seeing the transition into Jesse Marsh. So
I'm not keen, you know. I'm not keen on his
No, I know you're not. I know you're not, mate. And I understand that. People would always get cross-wired with me because I was saying, and obviously, like, me and you disagreed with this, but that's fine. I'd always be like, I think Bielsa should have gone But at the same time, when Jesse Marsch came in, and I think we got panned by Villa, people were like, "Oh, this is what you asked for, Connor." It's like, well, I didn't ask for Jesse Marsch. I just said that I thought Bielsa should have gone. So yeah, with the Jesse Marsch thing, it's one of those, mate, where I'm very interested to see how it pans out, because he's got to hit the ground running, because we've had chats before as well. It's not that thing anymore. It's not that thing anymore where we're attached to a manager like Bielsa, who's one of a kind. So we're talking about the players and all this sort of stuff, but it's a massive, if this doesn't work for Jesse Marsch, mate, I don't know where he goes next. So it's a big sort of first 10 games for him.
Yeah, and I am giving him, like, a lot of people misconstrued my love for Bielsa for not giving him a chance. I just didn't like what I was being served up. But I'm now happy to say it's a clean slate. The Bielsa era was bookended with us staying in the Premier League. Happy days, move on, boom. And then now, new regime, new players. And like you said, we've got a little bit more of a normal football club feel again, which is disappointing, but it's realistic. And, if Jesse have to take, like you say, he couldn't have been handed a more easier opening, really, as well. Of course, he could have had the 3 relegated teams, for example, but we've had a pretty steady start to the season. First 6 games, it's only like really Chelsea in there. The others are pretty winnable, bro. You can argue.
Yeah,
so he's got a favourable start to the season, hasn't he?
We just don't want it to go down to that wire again, innit? Is it May where it's not? I mean, City, Newcastle as well, innit? And
West Ham, I think.
Oh, was it West Ham?
I think, yeah.
You don't want to go. You don't want to be looking to stay in the division when we go like we can't have that again, mate. We've got to be. I mean, I remember it's funny. We were looking at the my dad's. You won't believe it, man. My dad's actually 10 times worse than me. But we were looking at the fixtures last season. My dad said to me, listen, I mean, my dad actually said, to be fair, he still reminds me all the time. He's like, do you know what I said? Where I said we finished last season? I was like, yeah. My dad said spot on 17th.
Did he?
17th, yeah.
I remember you got hammered for saying about 13th, right?
I did, yeah. Right? I did. Got battered for it. And then, I think, he got it spot on, and I think it's one of those again where Leeds have got to hit the ground running, and we've got to really build up momentum. Because the good thing is, mate, we don't have a death month aside from that, really. I thought that we had a few months last season where it's like, oh my God.
When's the next win coming from?
Exactly,
yeah. When's the next goal coming from at some point, man?
Mate, when we conceded 14 goals in a week, oh, God.
Oh, yeah. The Arsenal one was, I remember being at the game and going out at half time, and I was like, literally, like, I don't know what to do.
It was torture. No, but Joe, that one, even the Arsenal game, when you're watching Martinelli just absolutely tear drama a new one, you're looking at it and you're thinking, and we've got like 15-year-olds littered everywhere. McKinstry's coming on. I think Gray came. You're looking and you're thinking, at that point, mate, you're just like, we're doomed here. We're done. Yeah. We are like, there's no recovery here. So I still can't actually quite believe we've stayed up. I'm still in shock.
I know, you were dead cert, weren't you? Mate, what a last opening day, though. What was that like for you? Obviously,
would Joe, because the great thing, obviously, you and a lot of people in the comment section below will have just been like, yeah, I think we'll do it and all this sort of stuff. You got to understand, mate, when you're dead set, when you are dead set against us going down, when you're just like, nah, we're done.
Was there no hope on the morning of the game at all?
Nah, mate. No. Really? I was terrified because I was in pain. My heart was hurting. My head was hurting. Everything was. It was awful. And then, mate, when that goal went in, I've never. I mean, I cried when we went up. I cried on bloody YouTube. It's very embarrassing. But when we stayed up. That's one of the best feelings, if not the best feeling I've ever had as a Leeds United fan, and that might be quite sad, to be honest. But that was an incredible feeling because I just didn't expect it. The first team on the last day of the season to get out of the bottom 3 since 2010, Wigan. Yeah, so the stack, it was all against us. And when did we win last at Brentford? 52 years.
1950 odd, something. Yeah, 1950 odd, something.
Mate, what a feeling! So so that's why, mate. That's our Villa moment, though, Joe. That's our Villa moment now.
100%, I agree with you. Yeah.
So we've got that now. That's where we use that, mate. We use that.
Yeah, Wolves before us did that 2 years, pushed on. Villa 2 years, push on. Us 2 years. Now we've got to move. We can't be involved in that relegation battle. That's for the 3 teams coming up, and the likes of Brentford and Southampton this year. Brentford will have their second season. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I am going to put money on them to go down. I was always going.
Well, they've lost Ericsson as well.
Yeah, exactly. So. Apparently, he's going to Man United, didn't he? So we'll wait and see. But yeah, do you know, just on that game though, the roller coaster of emotions. Like when we went down to 9 men. and that man of all people scored, Sergi Connors. I was like, we're going to go down here having been gifted a game with 9 goals. Oh, man.
When you're doing that watch along, it's incredible. There's so much testament to you. Like, I stopped doing it. I couldn't do it anymore. I was making myself look like a prat online. But I was, when that went in, I didn't even move, mate. I thought, this is what it's like to be a Leeds fan.
Yeah,
this is why I'm in pain, and that's why I'm pessimistic and negative all the time, because I can't believe it. This is written. You've had this twat come on. Who doesn't score all season, apart from against us, comes on, scores an unbelievable header. Then they get another one sent off. They've got 9 men, and they start playing better. And we start...
Yeah, no, that was what got me. Bro, I don't know if anyone hasn't watched it. It's on my channel. I did the highlights to that video, and I'm genuinely going for about 5 minutes. They've got 9 men! 9 men! I couldn't believe it, bro. It was like I was fuming. Actually, because I clicked that up in the highlights. When Sergi Cannos came on, I went, don't do this to us, Sergi.
You knew it, though, didn't you? You knew it. You knew it.
100%.
It's so Leeds. It's so Leeds for that to happen. Yeah. Oh, mate. Yeah.
Honestly,
that's
had we lost that, I'd have marched down.
I know.
Had we lost that, I'd have marched to Ellen Road and said, Jesse, get out now. Because when he went with the back 5, I was fuming, bro.
Yeah.
Fuming.
Yeah. I think I think there was. That's the thing. I mean, I think what he did for that last 2, I think he just went, and this is what I think he should have done. Sort of 4 or 5 games prior, he just went to him. Look, loose framework, play as wide as you want, play as you did with Bielsa, and give Raphinha the ball. And I think that's what worked in the last 2 games, because we were noticeably better, weren't we? So
100% we were, and hopefully that'll continue. Jesse's going to bring in his players. I'm excited to see Rocker, Christensen, and of course Brendan Aronson. It's going to be a good season, I'm sure. It might get a bit boring, but give me boring over last season
any day, mate. Any day
of the week. And what a way to finish with peaked over 700 live viewers, which when I do one-to-one chats, that doesn't happen. It's because the big dog's in town. Right?
Don't be that.
This is Connor levels, isn't it? Connor levels is 700 people. Thank you everyone for coming over. I know you all will be anyway, but make sure you subscribe to Connor's channel. His channel is in the title of the video. Make sure you check it out. What have you got coming over the next few days, Connor? When's the debrief back? People.
I don't know, mate. We've not. Yeah, we've not sorted it out really. I think it's because there's not really anything to debrief. It was more on like match games and stuff like that. So there was nothing really. There's not really been much to talk about. We've got Generation Leeds with my old man coming out, which is something I've started, which is good. People like hearing my old man's view, which is nice. But yeah, mate, just as you know, the certified rumour mill every day. It's just, I mean, the fact that that's still going is a bit nuts. But yeah, mate. So yeah, if you fancy some just speaking about Leeds, please come over.
Yeah, man, make sure you check him out. I'll probably be back at some point tomorrow, depending on what transfer news comes out, isn't it? I've enjoyed doing these live streams over the weekend. I'll probably give them a bash next weekend as well. But during the week, it'll be pre-recorded stuff that'll probably pop out. We're out back on Wednesday as well. Me, JT, Max, and Lewis. So make sure you check out that, and I'll see you in a bit. And thanks for coming on tonight, Connor, mate. It's been a pleasure having you back, pal.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Cheers, everyone.